Hello everyone, welcome to Lentilpatch Ministries webinar on Run a Zoom Service. Let's get started. Let me introduce myself. I'm Pastor Fergus Ong from SIBKL Church, and I'm the pastor in charge of Lentilpatch Ministry. We're really a ministry that seeks to help small churches to set up and run online church. So I see many of you guys from smaller churches that are smaller than 100. I really want to welcome all of you guys here and encourage you guys on this journey of doing church online in whatever way possible. Hope all of you guys are well, all your congregation members are all well during this time. And I also see and know that many of you guys are also visiting from the bigger churches, bigger than over 100, or some of you from very, very large churches as well joining us. It is an honor to have all of you guys here, especially because I know many of you are also doing some really awesome, amazing things with your respective church services and prayer meetings and whatnot. So it's an honor. I just want to say before we begin that everything that you are going to learn in this session today is nothing was invented by any of us or our trainers. Everything is a result of our experimentation and using it week on week and getting a bit more and more familiar with it as we go along. So I often get asked, Pastor, can we share this information with other people? By all means. The whole premise of us doing this is so that this information can and should be shared with as broad a number of people as possible. Don't even just think of churches. Think even of your friends who are cornered into having to do Zoom gatherings for their work, or if you have friends who are teachers and they're struggling with the environment of their online classrooms, whatever it is. I believe that through this, the church can really be the city on a hill when Christians all over, just like you, learning this, can go out and be a blessing to your friends who are not in church, to your family members who are not in church, and whatnot. So please share everything with everyone. Over the next 2 Sundays at exactly the same time, 2:30, we will be running 2 more webinars, one next week, another in the following week. I will be telling you more about them at the end of today's session. But do keep posted on that. You can find more information on our website. That's sibkl.org.my/lentilpatch. So I'm going to pray, and I'm going to pass the time over to the team, all right? So let's pray. Let's all pray together. Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord God, for this occasion and for the 567 people and counting who are all here representing so many churches all throughout our country and maybe even beyond. Father, we thank you for every church represented here. We know that you want your kingdom to be strong. We know that you want your church to rise up. So Father, we pray that today, over the next 2 hours, we will be sowing into the strengthening and extension of your kingdom in this land and beyond. So Father, we pray for such a great time of learning together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. I'm going to pass the time now over to Pastor Jonathan Ngan. He's my colleague. And Pastor John and his team will be training us in running a Zoom service. Over to you, Pastor John Ngan.
Well, thank you, Pastor Fergus. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Good to have you here on our first Lentilpatch ministry. Before I dive into it to introduce my team, I just want to honor and acknowledge our senior pastor, Pastor Dr. Q&As, who has such a big heart. He's the one that started up this Lentilpatch ministry because he feels that all of us are in this together. But we also recognize that while we're all in the same storm, not all of us are necessarily in the same boat. We have some of us have a little bit more tech savvy people around us. Some of us may have a bit more technology or gear that's a little bit better, but nonetheless, we're here. And I believe that even as we go through different months of uncertainty and all that, the Church of Jesus Christ will remain strong because the Lord himself said that he will build his church and the gates of hell or Hades shall not prevail against it. So I'm just going to introduce my team. Today, actually, the meeting is going to be primarily run by my team who are the technical know-hows. You know, they are the ones that kind of like have played around with the functions of Zoom. So I'm glad Pastor Fergus clarified that we didn't write Zoom, so we are not experts in this. We don't claim to be experts, but we just want to share our experience. Maybe I will give a little bit of very quickly, a little bit of background of how we kind of like started doing service on Zoom. I think when the MCO was first implemented, what we did was we tried to, this is for the youth section. So we actually tried to do a pre-recorded service. So pre-recorded, you know, you record the worship, you record the sermon, then the announcements, you piece it together, you put it on a video in YouTube. What we found with that was that if you had the resources to do that, that certainly has its value. But what we found was that actually there was quite a lot of work, and that also we were very limited by the equipment that we had. So I'm sure for those of you who tried, or those of you who know a little bit about recording, if you know, even recording your instruments and all that, you need a proper mic setup and all that. And MCO time, none of that was available to us. So we had no choice, but we improvised. Part of the reason, apart from it being a lot of work, was also when we were watching a service on screen, it is a little bit impersonal. You know, it can be a little bit inorganic also to a certain extent, where you're just looking at the screen. There's no interactive element. So we thought, you know, let's try it on Zoom. So with that, we went on a journey, and we've been doing that for past couple of services now, for both for the youth and college section in our church. And yeah, so that's a bit of background of how we came out to run a service on Zoom. So without further ado, I'm going to actually pass the time to my team. I think it's going to be primarily Sean, Emily. We are glad to be here, and we just want to share our experience with you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. Some of us who are moderators will be taking down your questions. So if any question pops up along the way, and then later we will pass it back to Pastor Fergus, who would run through those questions for us if any. Okay, so God bless you guys. Thank you for holding on. Thank you for being strong throughout this MCO period, and together we will get through this, and the Church of Jesus will rise even stronger. Amen. Praise God. Now over to you guys, team.
Okay, thank you, Pastor John. Hi, everyone. We're going to be friends for the next 1.5 hours or so. So get yourselves comfortable. Like what Pastor John has mentioned, I'm super nervous. I've never spoken to 600 plus people in real life, let alone online. So, you know, I'm just here to walk us through. I don't know how many of you have zero knowledge, or how many of you, you're super pro at this, and you're just like, I want that extra tip to make my services better. But like what Pastor John has said, you know, we're just here to share what we have caught. Even as I was preparing this training, I learned a thing or two, and I was really excited because, you know, I love nerding out about this kind of thing. So come along with this journey together with me. So I'm going to get right into it. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast. So let's go on this journey together. So again, my name is Emily, and I'm here to share, just walk you through really the A to Z. So I'm going with the expectation that maybe you have never set up a Zoom account before. So we're going right down to the basics. All right. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to run a Zoom service together. And I'm just going to show you a brief rundown of what's going to happen today. So we're going to first start with the basics, teaching you what your Zoom account provides you, especially going to point out some of the pro features, how it's different from a free account. But most of our training today will be with the pro features available, okay? We're going to teach you how to navigate through your browsers, how to optimize your profile and your settings so that once you have done that, you don't have to do it again. So that's the basics. And then we're going to show you the setup. How you're going to set up your service. What is a meeting registration? Do I need a meeting registration? Hey, I had to register for this training. Do I need my congregation to register for the service? I'll walk you through that. How you send email reminders. You know, some of you want to record your services. We'll talk a little bit about live streaming because it's a feature that is available here on Zoom as well. Then next, we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of actually running the service, some best practice that we have found really helpful for us along the weeks as we have done it. And then we're just going to give you some tips that have been really helpful for us post-service, which is to utilize the reports functions on Zoom and also point you to some resources that might be really, really helpful for you. Okay, so let's just get right into it. I don't know how you have logged on here, but if you are on a device, it might look a little bit different. I'm going to be showing you the browser and everything through a laptop. So it might not look the same when you sign on your device, but this is what it looks like. It shouldn't be too different. Okay, so I want to show us some basic features of what Zoom actually what Pro features actually has. If you have a free account, you have unlimited one-to-one meetings. You can host up to 100 participants, but any more than 2 people in your meeting, you have a 40-minute limit. So the Pro account, you have unlimited duration is not unlimited, okay, it's 24 hours. But if you're going to have a service that's more than 24 hours, man, the Holy Spirit really needs to help you, because I've never done it before. Okay, and something that you have, as I'm going to point out here, is your cloud recording. That's really helpful. You don't always have to record your services to your device because you might not have the space. Other than that, you have reporting and this custom personal meeting ID thing, which can be helpful. And I'll walk us through all of that later. Okay, so how do you log in? How do you sign in? Very simple. Go to Zoom account and click on my account and you will go in here. They will bring you into this web page, and really important that from the very beginning, you just set up your profile. I know you're tempted to just run a meeting, but set up your profile first so you don't have to go through all of these things later. So I'm using the use account. So Narashri SIBKL, just fill in all your details. And yeah, there's this personal meeting ID thing that you can access every time, but for your services, because we are talking about running a service, I would not recommend you to use your personal meeting ID, because a personal meeting ID is always the same. So I will tell you the difference between generating a random meeting ID versus having a personal meeting ID later. So this is just another cool function that you can have with the Pro account. You get to name your personal meeting ID, but yeah. So for user type, if you're unsure what Zoom account you are holding, you can look here to look at your user type. Licensed pretty much just means you have paid for something. So either a Pro account, a business account, so on and so forth. So for features, you can add on different features. For a normal Pro account, it only takes up to 100 participants. But for us, the youth ministry, 100 is not enough. We have bought the large add-on meeting feature. So these are just a few things for you to note, because I understand that there are churches here who are beyond 100 or even 300. So this is something you will want to look into if your church requires that feature or that function. Okay, important to set your date and time zone, because you can also integrate it into any of your calendars that you have. You can integrate it to Google Calendar. So let's say if you're a church admin, or you're setting up a service and you want all your pastors to be notified of when it is, you can always link it to your Google Calendar or your Microsoft Outlook or whatever it is, and you can send invites to the relevant people. See, allow Zoom to get calendar event. You can turn it on. And yeah, so that's setting up your profile. All right, I'm going to jump to the settings, and it's really important that you get this right from the very beginning, because every time you schedule a meeting, they will use your default settings that you have set here on your browser. So I'm not going to go through everything because it can get very technical, and a lot of the things don't actually add value to your service. So I'm just going to focus on what has been very beneficial to us. So host video and participants video, you can choose whether to turn it off or on, but actually every single participant that uses Zoom, they have the ability to control this. I normally turn it off because, some people, they must soak the toilet or something and they want to join, so you don't want to catch them off guard. So I decide to leave it off first. Audio type, telephone and computer audio. Even though I know most people who use Zoom, they don't really call in. They usually just use computer or their device audio. Join before host. What does join before host mean? Meaning you have scheduled a meeting, you have sent out the invite, but your participants who are interested in joining before you, they can. So let's say you have scheduled a meeting for 2:30, but you're stuck in, I don't know, traffic, and you can't rush back. Your participants can continue on with the meeting even though you are not there, and the meeting won't run out even though they are free user and they hit the 40-minute mark. All right, so you can turn it on. But like for us, when we're running a service, we do not turn on join before host, simply because our team is normally inside doing technical runs or having pre-service prayer with our leaders. So we usually turn that off. All right. Okay, I know I'm talking very fast, so you can ask me to slow down if you need to. Again, this personal meeting ID is something I would not recommend for running your service. You can use that for your personal meetings. Let's say you want to meet up with someone to discuss about the service, you can use your personal meeting ID. I would highly encourage you to turn off only authenticated users can join meetings. What this means is, even if you do not have the Zoom app, they can join your Zoom service just through a browser. I'm sure many of you have clicked on a link and a prompt comes up to say, you know, should I open this on a Zoom app or proceed with the browser? So this is a very helpful thing, because I know not everyone can download Zoom on their phones or on their laptops. So should turn this off. All right. And I'm going to go down to the in-meeting basic things that you can turn on and off. So for your chat, we usually allow everybody to chat with one another because our services are about 200 to 300 people. It's a very good way of engaging with the people who have come for your service. You know, a lot of people like to go like, amen, like they like to type, oh, you know, today I had what for lunch before the meeting starts, or they find a point really spoke to them and they type it in. It just helps. It helps the speaker, it helps your leaders, it helps members just interact with one another and not just feel like we're watching a screen. You know, it brings a little bit more engagement, a little bit more life to that. But we turn off private chat because youth ministry, again, sometimes they can come for our service but have their totally own different meeting within the service. So we have turned that off. But again, if you would like, you can turn that on. This file transfer, some especially children's ministry, if you're part of a children's ministry, you have different materials you want to send in where parents can interact with their children during the service. You can turn that on. You send your file, parents can, you know, point on their own screens and stuff like that. So that's something you would want to turn on. Yes, co-host is definitely something we'll touch on more. Just a pointer for this, you know, I know there's some people you are running the entire service yourself, but we highly recommend that you always have someone to help you out. If not for just the fact that you have a lot to do, it's always good to have someone from a different place in case your internet connection is unstable or anything. All right, your co-host does not have to be a pro account holder. They can be any basic account as well, and they will have all the same in-meeting controls that you do. Okay. Polling is a really fun function that I'm going to show us all later. We're going to run a little icebreaker with all of you, and I highly recommend turning on your polling functions. And that is that. Show Zoom windows during screen share is just something we like to turn on because we want to be able to still control things within Zoom, and we don't mind that people can see our controls when we turn on this function. Who can screen share? For us, we usually only choose host only. So we click only host, and so host only. Co-host and host, they're lumped up together when it comes to this screen share function. So when it says host only, it also means your co-host can share screen, but Sean, who is the next trainer, will be talking about that. Annotation, what it means, Sean will walk you through that a little bit more, but it means that when you share screen, you can actually draw on it, you can annotate on it, you can put text, you can put different things. So if you're, let's say you're having a class, or you want to draw something, you want to make a point, you know, I know our very own Pastor Fergus just loves his whiteboards, so that can be very useful for you. But for us, again, we have seen and done it all in youth ministry with people coming to kachao and annotate. So we like to disable the annotation function because you do not want random people drawing on your screen, which can cause a distraction. All right, I'm just going to show you some in-meeting advanced settings that could be very helpful to you. This thing called a breakout room. where right now we have 600 over people in this meeting, but within your meeting, you can create smaller rooms where you can have more personal discussion or things that can be helpful for you. What we like to use it for is in our youth ministry, we have connect groups. So we like to provide that platform for people to enter into these breakout rooms to further discuss the message they have just heard. They can pray for one another. They can share whether they have prayer requests. So in a service setting, if you would like to use it for, let's say, an altar call time, that is a very useful function for you as well. Okay, so that's that virtual background. Unfortunately, not all computer users are able to do that, but Sean will also be walking you through that a little bit later. Okay, so those are just the things that I want to show you, but here we have this waiting room. We have this waiting room function. A lot of you who came in today, you would have been placed into a waiting room, and I'm going to show you how you can personalize it to make it more personal to your church, your ministry, and your service. All right, when you click over here, you can see this. This is what your waiting room looks like when, let's say, when you register for a meeting or the meeting hasn't started, your participants will be moved to a waiting room. And here you can always customize the message. You say, oh, wow, you're early or something like that, you know, up to you. It can be personalized. You can put your logo here as we have. This is just your meeting topic, which I will show you later. And you can add a waiting room description as well. We usually like to add the waiting room description only after we have planned the service. So for example, if we want people to prepare communion that week, you can add that into the waiting room description as they are in the waiting room as well. So we find that really helpful for us. Okay, so that is the settings part. And the last part I want to bring to your attention is that you have a live streaming option and a feature for your pro accounts. The basic accounts don't have this. We have linked it to our Facebook and our YouTube. And later I'll show you a slide where when you click on the controls within Zoom, you can opt to live stream your service. We currently do not use this function because the very reason why we have brought the meeting into Zoom is so that we can interact with people. But if you have a bigger team that can also interact with the people watching through YouTube and Facebook, that's a very useful feature that you can have. So it's linked to whichever account you want. For example, if you are signed into your Zoom account on abc@gmail.com, but you want to link it to def@gmail.com for your YouTube or your Facebook, that is possible. So that's just something we want to make known to everybody here. Email notifications, very simple. It's just a matter of deciding what you want to be notified on. For me, I turn on practically everything because, yeah, and that is it. So that's all the settings that I think I need to bring to your attention. The other things are very technical. You can go and play around with it, but usually these few functions have been enough for us to optimize our services. All right. So I'm going to show you your settings for your recording as well. Like I mentioned, you can record locally on the cloud. The cloud is a pro feature. When you do your cloud recording, the great thing about it is it breaks down all of these different functions for recording. How this would help is if you want to further upload and do post editing of your services, you can. For us in our youth ministry, we sometimes cut the message into smaller bite sizes and post it up on our social media within the week. So that's just something to keep people reminded of the messages that we have had already. All right, I'm just going to show you what record active speaker with shared screen looks like. Like for now, I'm the active speaker and I have a shared screen going on. So this is what it looks like. My face will be here and the shared screen will be here. So this can be really helpful for you if you want to share, let's say someone who didn't manage to attend the service, you can share this recording with them. Another one is called the shared screen with speaker view. So the active speaker, oh wait, I already showed you this. Yeah, but anyway, shared screen with gallery view. So when there is no shared screen, it will show you the gallery view instead of just the speaker view. And last but not least, only the speaker view. So these are just things that might be really helpful for you if you want to share your recordings of All right, I'm not going to go through telephone because again, we don't use the telephone service feature for our services, so I won't walk you through that. I'm also going to point out this webinar thing, even though this is called a webinar where it's a seminar on the web, but on webinar on Zoom is an entirely different function on its own. It's also, you also have to pay additional cost to it. So webinars, how it's different is that you can have a panel of speakers and you can have Q&A sessions where it's not like our chat box, but there's a separate Q&A function. But for us, we don't use the webinar because the meetings functions is enough for us. Okay, I hope I'm not going too fast, but right now that's just all the basic features for your Zoom account. So once, I know it can be a little bit overwhelming if it's your first time to have to optimize all of this, but you only need to do it once. After you have optimized all of these things, all your future meetings will be scheduled according to the settings you have already decided on. All right, but you can still change it as and when you like. Now I'm going to show us how to actually set up your meeting. So when you click on the meetings tabs, you will see your upcoming meetings over here. So it's a really good way, especially if you have one ministry sharing the same Zoom account with multiple different, let's say, connect groups, or you have multiple different things that are people that require to use account. So for our account, we are shared between the college ministry, the youth ministry, and also the worship ministry. So having to schedule your meeting and making that a practice amongst all the people who have to use account is really important, which is why I do not recommend only using the personal meeting ID, the personal meeting rooms, because I might not be able to see that you have a meeting going on if you use your PMI. So always, best practice is to schedule all your meetings, schedule all your services. Let's say if you have a children's ministry, a youth ministry, and your main congregation service that needs to go on, always schedule the meeting. It can be very, very helpful. So you also have a backlog of all your previous meetings over here. And yes, so this is what I was talking about, the personal meeting room. It's just one room that you can always access. But again, I do not recommend using this for your service. Just use it for your short individual meetings with, let's say, individual staff that you might have. Meeting templates is very useful because I know we're all running services. For us, we have saved it to online service experience and our connect groups, just so that you don't have to keep re-putting in your information when you are scheduling the meeting. I'll show you how to create these meeting templates in just a bit. All right, so scheduling a new meeting. So this is what you're here for, how to schedule a meeting. So let's say my topic for this week is Sunday service. So you're going to run a Sunday service, and this description will appear as you send out the registration link to people, or you send out the invitation to people. So description, we are having service this week. You can, and let's say if you have communion that weekend and you want people to come prepared for communion, you can always type it in your description. This week we have communion, come prepared. So you don't have to keep reminding people because it's already in your description. You don't have to create separate information to be sent because it will all come in your meeting invitation. All right, I'll show you how to create a template later. When, just select when. Duration, you can select the duration. Just a note to everybody, just because you set your duration to 1 hour, it doesn't mean that when you surpass that 1 hour within your meeting, that your meeting will cancel. It's just to help your congregation or the people who are joining your service have a better idea of how long your meeting will last so that they can plan their day. But it does not mean that your meeting is limited to the duration that you have selected. All right. Another very useful feature is that you can turn it on as a recurring meeting. So let's say you already know you're having Sunday services every week. You can put weekly on a Sunday, and you can select how many occurrences they happen. So now brings me to a part where I nerd out about this so much because I love this feature. Registration. You can click for registration to be required. So let's say you already know you want to have your services every single Sunday, you can click this, attendees register once and can attend any of the occurrence. They just click that same link that will be sent to them all the time, and they don't have to keep re-registering. All right, and attendees need to register for each occurrence to attend. That's pretty self-explanatory. So for example, you just want to know every single time how many people to expect. You can also use that, or attendees register once and can choose one or more occurrences to attend, meaning they can select the weeks that they already want to attend. This can be very helpful if you're running, let's say in our church, I know we have Christian education classes, so you can gauge when people can make the classes and when people cannot attend the classes, let's say if it's a 5-week course. So this can be very helpful for people who are running more class or modules kind of meetings. All right, but for the benefit for all of us, I think that since we are running a service, you can click attendees register once and I can attend any of the occurrences. Okay, meeting password. I know that you might be a little bit concerned, oh, should I have a password or not? What if there's Zoom bombers? If you have not heard of it, it just basically is people who enter in your meeting and they just do very, very funny things, or they send in spam in the chats and all that. Well, I do not recommend turning on the meeting password because it is an added step that people might miss out and they might get lost, like the information might be lost or anything. So I usually turn off this meeting password for all our services, but I usually turn them on for smaller meetings. If you are concerned about security, which I'll be talking about later, and Sean, who is the next trainer, will also touch on, is to enable your waiting room function and slowly admit in people as they join the service. And I also know that this can be quite a hassle for, no offense, okay, older generation people, I love you, but sometimes you can't find a meeting password and you get frazzled, and you ask your son or your daughter to help you, and your email might be lost somewhere amongst all your WhatsApp chats and everything. So I like to turn it off, okay, just so that it's one less step that your congregation needs to do. So all this, like I mentioned just now, it's your presets already that have already been set in the settings section. And you see, here it's all the same from the settings section that I have talked about just now. Like I mentioned just now, I'll be walking us through the breakout room. You can always pre-assign people to go into your breakout rooms. Again, very helpful if you're having a prayer session, or if you have children's church that are breaked up into different age groups, you can always pre-assign them to different rooms, so on and so forth, which I will mention a bit later. Okay, then when you click save, you have scheduled your meeting. So it's as simple as that. And you can see here, you can save as meeting template. So when you click save as meeting template, you can save it as Sunday service. And it's as simple as when you want to run your Sunday service, whip out this template. You don't even need to type in all the additional information anymore. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about registration, when it's useful, when should you get people to register, and when you don't need people to register. If you have a pro account and you know that your limit is 100 people and you already have 70 people in your congregation, then I would suggest at least getting them to register once. Why? Because once your 100 people participant limit is up, no new participants can enter the Zoom meeting and they will receive, they will just be stuck out there. So you want to avoid that from happening. So just to get a gauge of how many people are actually going to attend your service, I highly recommend turning on the registration function. However, if you are from a smaller congregation, you have 50 people and your limit is 100 and you're not too concerned that there will be an influx of people to 100, then you can turn off the registration. So it's just very simple, copying your invitation for your meeting link. All right. But what can be very, very useful for registration as well is that you can customize all the questions that you have. So, click on edit and it brings you to this page. There are certain questions that are default: first name, last name, and your email address. Why email address? Because they will send you the invitation as a unique link directly to the email address. I know this can be a hindrance to certain people who do not have email address, but there's also a function where you can just copy it, and you can always send the meeting ID through WhatsApp and stuff like that. Okay, so you can choose your registration to be automatically approved or manually approved. I will highly recommend this again for people who are running education classes, or if you want to control and limit the number of people that come into your meeting. And yeah, these are just other options that you can discover for yourself, but it doesn't really change your service in any way, shape, or form. Questions. So the default ones will be your first name, last name, and your email address. Okay, and you can add this. You can add all these details that you might want to get in. For us, we find it very, very useful to capture newcomers that come for our service, so that once they enter into our service, they don't have to fill up another link because they're already in my service, and I can already, trace back all their details through the reports functions, which I will show you a bit later as well. Custom questions can be very, very useful. For me, when I have my leaders meeting, I love to ask this question. How has your walk with God been? And they can give a short answer, and I find it very useful because I can go through the registration report, and when someone says, oh, I'm going through a dry season, I'm going through this season, that season, it's easy for me to follow up on them. It can always be not a required question. People can share as they like. So yep, that's all for registration for the registration setting for the meeting that you will set up for your service. And once they register, like all of you have registered for this meeting, you will receive an email. The email contact over here, the great thing about this is you can always edit who the email comes from. So for example, this is our youth ministry contact. Our Zoom is registered to our youth ministry's email address, but the worship team wants to use this. So they can change where the email comes from, worship SIBKL and worship at sibkl.org.my. We can always change where the email comes from. And when that happens, whoever has questions and they reply to the email, it will be directed straight to this email address that you choose to include. All right, let me show you the preview. Yeah, let me show you the preview of the email. Like this. It comes with a default meeting topic, which is the title of your meeting. So if it's called Sunday service confirmation, and it will say, hi, whoever they are, thank you for registering for Sunday service, and you can always add in any notes. Cool. We miss you. I don't know what you want to say. You can include that in, and all this different information that you have included in will also pop up. One thing to note is all your links that are sent to the email, they are unique to you. Meaning, if you copy and paste this email link to someone, they will enter into your service with your name. All right, so let's say this email is sent to Daniel, and Daniel copies this join link to maybe his father that doesn't have an email. Both people will join the service as Daniel. Okay, so you always want to emphasize to people not to share their their unique links. So that's that. And when people reply, they have a question or they want to reply to this, it will automatically go to worship at sibkl.org.my or whatever email address you choose to include inside. Okay, that's that for the confirmation email. Something that you can also utilize is your branding. This will appear on your registration page as you show people. As you direct people to your registration link, you can always upload a banner like you have saw on our page. It comes out as a Lentilpatch ministry banner, and you can also upload your logo. So that's just really helpful to personalize things and not make people just feel like, oh, I'm attending another online meeting. It gives it more personality. It's more personalized and stuff like that. And over here, last but not least, you have your live streaming services. It's very self-explanatory. When you click on it, within the Zoom app itself, it just directly links you to a page where you can log into your YouTube or to your Facebook Live. The polling I will show you later, but when you create polls, it will all end up here, so you can see all of this within your meeting settings that you have scheduled. So that is that. So you can see over here that there's a meeting registration link. Over here it says meeting registration link, and it's really difficult to remember, right? So I will highly recommend that you tiny.cc or shorten the link, or bit.ly your service link. So for us in the youth ministry, we do not set it as a recurring meeting simply because it's alternate weeks and sometimes we decide to have different things. So we don't always want to share a different link. What we do is we go to our tiny.cc. I'm sure many of you are familiar with tiny.cc, and we just copy this link. We just copy this meeting link over here like this, and we paste it here, and we put a customized link to it, and we just click shorten. And every time you want to get people to register for your online services, you can send them the same link. I would, however, recommend that you sign up for a tiny.cc account and log in every time so that you can change this link as and when you like. Meaning, let's say, oh, you want to change your Zoom meeting registration link, but you still want to use this tiny.cc link, you can always amend that and edit that if you have a tiny.cc account. If not, once you use that URL, it is taken up. You can't change it anymore if you do not have an account with tiny.cc. Okay, so that's just to facilitate easier sharing within your congregation, your members, your classes, and it's easier for you to promote it on social media, etc., etc. Okay, that is the end for the first part. I feel like I've been talking and talking and talking. So I'm going to open up a time for Q&A right now. So if you have any questions, let me see. Okay, give me some time, Why don't you guys just drink some water first? Okay, she did not sign in the person. Okay, there's a question here from S. Chin. Thank you for your question. A participant's names appear on the screen when she joins the meeting, but it is not her name. Sometimes it's because they have registered for something else. Maybe you're sharing your device with your husband or your children. They have registered their device with another link, and it sometimes carries over if you didn't re-register and stuff like that. But within Zoom itself, you can rename yourself if your host has given you the privileges to do that. Okay, I hope that answers your question, but it's more just because, let's say your device is being used by multiple people, which is why it sometimes confuses Zoom. I know you can confuse technology. Yeah, meeting password. Okay, meeting registration does not cap the meeting at a maximum number. Yes, this is a very good point. I struggle with that as well. Zoom does not, because not necessarily everybody who registers to come for your event will show up, which is why Zoom did not put a cap on that. But if you want to control the number of people that actually comes in, one very useful thing that you can do is you manually accept the registrants as they come in. So even though there's no feature for that right now for Zoom, that is one way you can go about it. But you are right, there is no way to cap the meeting registration at the moment, which is kind of a hassle, but as long as you monitor it, it can be very, very helpful. I will show you how to get the registration reports at the end, because I'll also kind of give you some pointers on how to best utilize these reports. Can two devices log in on the same dedicated link at the same time? Yes, you can. The only thing is, you might get a little prompt that says you have signed in using another device, but somehow it doesn't log me out automatically. It only logs you out if you are actually the host of the meeting. So I'm not sure why that is, because in Zoom's terms and conditions, it usually says you can only enter in at once. It could be a glitch, it could be a technical thing, but from my observation, people have been able to log in with the same link on multiple devices. Okay. All right, the tiny.cc account is absolutely free, which is why I highly recommend using it, signing up for it. And it's very useful. With tiny.cc every single thing in our church. We love it. And it's an easy way for people to remember where to go. What is the purpose of tiny.cc? How many accounts should a church get? You don't have to get one account for every ministry. You can always share it in your, let's say for SIBKL has one so that you can manage all the links. But for us, because in our youth ministry, we have a lot of different things happening, we have our own account. And since it's free anyway, go ahead and take advantage of that. All right. Any other questions that you have? Will you receive the link to the recording via the email you registered with? Yes, you will. But you will not receive, it does not automatically send the recordings. That is a function and a feature that you have to send it out yourself. I will show you how to do that later when I talk more about recordings and the post-service follow-up for your services. How do I add in profile picture when my video is off? I love this question, Cindy. You can do so in your profile or when you open up your participant settings, or when you click on yourself. There are 3 dots over there. You can see your box of your video. There are 3 dots over there and it says edit profile picture. It will bring you to select your files and all that. Okay. Can the co-host perform the same functions as the host? Yes, I would say 90% of the things. So far, the only function that I have found to be lacking is the breakout rooms. So the breakout rooms can only be assigned, or they can only be open and closed by the host itself. But the great thing is you can switch hosts within the meeting. So for example, I right now am the host. I am the owner of a pro account. I switch hosts to my friend Daniel. Daniel is not a pro account holder. My meeting will not end if I have reached a 40-minute limit mark. So that's that. So far the only limitations I see of co-hosts is that they can't do the breakout sessions and they cannot appoint other co-hosts. Great question. Any more? You can ask me questions. I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. Cool. Can I just get some response from you guys? I want to see if you're doing good. You can see the reactions button at the end. I'm just going to go through my gallery. Am I going too fast? Am I not? I love seeing all your faces. Yeah. Wow, I'm so proud of you guys. You are following me well, and that makes me really happy. Does the 100 max participants include the host and co-host? Yes, it includes the host and co-host, but the great thing is you can have as many co-hosts as you want. There's no limit. You can only have one host, but you need multiple co-hosts. Okay, there's a question from Timothy on how to do side-by-side screen share. We will answer your question later. If I have a license account. Yes, you can assign someone else as host. When you are setting up the meeting, right? I showed you guys just now, at the very end, you can put alternative hosts. In that sense, when you have an alternative host, that person must be a licensed account user. But once you as a licensed account user have started the meeting, and within the meeting, you transfer the host rights to someone, the 24-hour limit still applies to the new host, even though they have a free account. But I believe your question refers to an alternative host. No, your alternative host must be a licensed account user. Okay. I will teach you how to create a CSV file later, how to do pre-assigning later as well, so don't worry. Okay, how to deal with unmute and unmuting and all that, I will explain that to you later, and how some of the best practices that we have in having a tech support team beyond just the speaker. Like right now, I'm speaking, I'm not controlling anything because I'll be too frazzled, right? Which is why we have a team doing all these background words as well. What is the URL shortener for tiny.pc? It's tiny.cc, not tiny.pc. Okay, cool. Cindy, I hear you. I will help you out later with your profile picture. I totally know what you're talking about. I've had to help my my mom with these things as well. There were some questions that came in during the break. Like what Pastor John has mentioned, yes, I will highly recommend if you are the main person running and running the service through Zoom to use a desktop, because it is much easier when you have a mouse or you have a trackpad on a device. It does look very similar, but there are limitations. For example, your share screen is limited, and you can't switch between screens that easily, so you can't control your participants, muting and unmuting, spotlighting and all that easily, which we will show you how to do that through the desktop later. Someone has asked, if you log into the same meeting using 2 devices, is there any interference? Yes. So we don't, just as long as you put yourself on mute, it shouldn't be an issue. Okay. Yup. So that's all the questions. We'll move on to the second part, which is to actually run the service. Again, like what Pastor Fergus and Pastor John has mentioned, this is what works for us. And I'm speaking more from a youth service perspective, but a lot of things, they are relevant for all of you. So yeah, just follow me along. I'm going to show you just the flow for this part over here. These are some of the things that we'll be covering today. So I'm going to jump straight in. Like I've mentioned time and time again that having a team is very important. So these are some of the roles that we usually have. So we let the speaker just be the speaker, right? Whether it be your pastor or the person teaching or anything, we let the speaker just focus on that, because you know, we do want to free the person up to be able to minister and all that. We usually have what we call a service director, or you know, in lay terms, sort of like an MC for your service. But what our service director does is kind of like what Pastor Fergus did when he came in. You know, he welcomed you, he set the atmosphere a bit, and he or she is the one that will facilitate the transition. Why? Because when you're online, it's very hard for your worship leader to nudge your speaker, like now okay, or to give him or her a wink, right? So we have a service director whom the team is always talking to and just asking the service director, oh, now this is what's happening, you know, just make it known to everyone. So that has been very helpful for us. Tech support. So we have someone controlling everything from the slides to the music that you're hearing in the background to, you know, spotlighting my face, sharing the screens, everything. We have a tech person doing that. You might not hear from her today, but she's the one that's behind the scenes, you know, muting and unmuting people. I know some of you have questions about like how do you like admitting people in, like admitting you in from the waiting room and everything. We have a tech person doing it. Okay, tech backup, we usually get the person to do participants control, like I mentioned just now, admitting people in. We have had instances where, you know, we had to kick people out of a certain meeting because they were being disruptive in the chats and everything. So can they rejoin? That is entirely up to you. There is a function where you can click to remove participants and not allow them back in, but there is also a function where you can remove participant and allow them to join back in eventually. And spotlighting is just very much this. You can see my face when I'm speaking. So someone has spotlighted the video onto me. Sean will be teaching you how to do that in a very short while. But if you do have more than one people who are sharing, so especially children's ministry, you know, I know it's like very interaction based. You want the kids to engage with you as well. You do not have to spotlight the video, because naturally Zoom would put the active speakers on the first screen itself. Okay. All right, and of course we also usually have a worship leader. So that is what our team looks like. So now comes a service flow. Again, I'm sharing from our experience in a youth ministry. Certain things might not be relevant to you, but this is what has worked for us. And because I know sometimes it's hard to get ideas for youth ministry, so I want to share all that we have so that you don't have to crack your brains as well. And you can contextualize it to your kids' ministry, or for us, we got Golden Eagles. Okay, our church Golden Eagles are very on anyway. service flow. So this is what we do. Like I've mentioned before, when you have a tech team, it is very critical that you have a tech run. What does this mean? You know, you share all the things that you need to share, you load all the videos that you need to load, you optimize it, you know, you check out the sound levels of your background, because what you are hearing when you are playing from your computer might not be what someone else who is a recipient might hear. So it's really good to do a tech run and your transition and your flows, just because we can't read body language through the online setting. So it's good to just do a run. Same way we do rehearsals in church for, let's say, your worship team. We also do encourage you have a tech run with your team anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes before, whichever you feel comfortable with. For us, we usually gather our leaders to pray for the service, because, you know, after all, we do want to be empowered by the Holy Spirit during our sessions. And why I made this known was because this is what I was talking about when I switched off the enable join before host setting and turn on the waiting room setting instead, because we only bring in our leaders to pray first. All right. Pre-service is very simple, like what you saw just now when you came into this room. We shared screen, just like a little welcome, and we play some background music before, because for Malaysians, if the service starts at 2:30, of course not you guys, because there were already few hundred people waiting in the waiting room 10 minutes before. But for us, we do use that pre-service time to allow people to begin registering and everything. Yes, one more thing I forgot to mention just now. During when you have turned on the registration function, but a meeting is already going on. Let's say you wanted to come for this Lentilpatch training and you only found out about it at 3 p.m. You will still have to register, but you will not be sent a link through email anymore. You will be brought directly to the meeting room. So that's something you might want to know. And then we usually have a welcome and an icebreaker time, and worship, message, and breakout rooms. Our suggested service duration for all of you is about 1 to 1 hour, 15 minutes, or at most 1.5 hours, because we need to recognize that it's not easy staring in front of a screen. But if you do want to have a longer service, make sure to give people a break a little, because it can be very, there's a thing called Zoom fatigue, right? If you guys have heard it before. So our suggested service duration is about 1 hour to 1.5 hours. Okay, so that's that. So like I mentioned, the pre-service, we also have an announcement loop just so people can be updated even before the service starts, background music to set the atmosphere. So now comes the time. I know all you youth ministry people out there, I got you, because some of you have private messaged me in the chat. You're like, oh yeah, this will help. I know. And we're really, really excited to share some of these things with you. And I'm gonna launch something, and I hope all of you can participate. It'll be super short because we don't have much time, but you know, our youth absolutely enjoy this. But we're going to have a time of just having icebreakers, all right? So I'm gonna launch a poll right now, and you're gonna see something that pops up on your screen. For those of you who are on mobile devices, you might not be able to see it, but everyone else, you should be able to see it. So the question is, would you rather have free meals for the rest of your life or be able to fly for free for the next 20 years? Okay, I'm seeing the results here, and yeah, wow, it's pretty neck and neck. I wonder who are the ones voting, you know, making these decisions. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I want. I would so rather fly for free for the next 20 years. The amount of money I can save with free flights, I'm sure I can buy all the free food I want. Yeah, okay. Thank you all for voting. If you can't, don't worry. I'll walk you through it later through the slides. It looks something like this. Wow, we have 48% to 52%. So 52% of you said that you would want free flights for 20 years. I'm definitely on that team as well. So we're going to go on to our second question, and there's going to be a little fun element here. We're going to bring out this thing, this little wheel that we have. This little wheel of, not wheel of doom, but yeah, I'll show you that. But I'm going to launch a poll to get to know you a little better, all right? And you will see it on your screens now. So select what your favorite, so I'm going to get someone to share what their favorite memory, food or hobby is. And the second question I'm going to ask them is whether they should share their favorite book of the Bible or their favorite worship song. So what would you rather hear? Would you rather hear what their favorite food is, or what their favorite worship song is, or book of the Bible? I want to hear your thoughts. Cool. And if we can just whip out that wheel. And I have taken the liberty of putting all 653 of your names in it. I'm totally kidding. I just thought of the most common Christian names I could think of. Okay, cool. I'm going to end the poll right now. And Sean, could you just spin that wheel for me? And we're going to see who the lucky person is who gets to share, their favorites to all of us today. John, is it John or Joy? Joy! So we have Joy who has the privilege of sharing with us, because you know what? Pastor Fergus is synonymous with joyfulness. He gets the privilege to come share with us what his favorite, let me share with all of you guys, the top voted one that people want to know, Pastor Fergus, is your favorite food. Pastor Fergus, why don't you share your favorite food and your favorite worship song with everyone?
All right, my favorite food, straight off the top of my head, is my mother's mirabos, which I've since learned to cook myself.
Nice.
My favorite worship song, again, straight off the top of my head, is "Then Sings My Soul, My Savior God to Thee, How Great Thou Art, How Great Thou Art."
Cool, awesome.
Uncle.
I'm sure many people in this Zoom chat right now love that song as well. That's just an example of how you can use the polling thing, and you can use multiple tools. It does not have to be limited to one thing. You can use the share screen, and you can also use a poll. And that has been really helpful in our youth ministry, just to get that engagement. And if you realize, when we were playing the game, when we were spinning the wheel, you heard background music as well. That just helps create the atmosphere a little bit, to set it apart from one section to the other, where it's a more fun vibe. And that's really, really helpful for us when we are connecting with our youth. It can be helpful with your children ministry, especially as well. Okay, we will provide you with some resources on what has worked for us. It's not a very comprehensive list, but we do hope that it will help you out. Okay. And so that's icebreaker for us. There's 101 ways that you can do it. We get our inspiration also from YouTube. We try to inject some youth element into it, just so that our youth, can let their guards down a bit, know that, hey, we are a community after all. So these are the things that we use just now. We use our posts, we use our shared screens, and I will be sending you guys over some resources that you can utilize at the end of this training session. So how do you create a poll? Very simple. When you see this bar down here, that is what you will see when you open your Zoom app. You just click on polling, and when you click on polling, this thing will pop up. But when you click on this thing and you click edit, or you click add a question, it will bring you to your browser, and you can add in your browser. So each poll that you have seen represents, each page that you have seen just now represents one poll. For the first question was a would you rather question. I only included one question. So if you want to add multiple would you rather questions, but do it at different times, you have to add in multiple polls. But like for the second poll that I ran, the one where it says getting to know you, within the same poll, you can add in multiple questions, and your participants will see them all at one shot. All right. And then after you're done with that, this is what the poll looks like. Then you can click launch poll, and everyone will see that. And when you want to change the polls to the next poll, you click this button here, and it will pop up like this. So this is how you switch between the polls. That's that. You launch the poll, everyone gets to vote. You click end poll, and then you can share results, and everyone gets to see what people have voted. All right, so yeah, see, you can share the polls, and you can click stop sharing. That's that. Okay, so that is all for the pre-service icebreaker kind of thing. I know it's a very short segment of icebreaker, because I know that a lot of people were asking about icebreakers, but we will provide you with some resources on best practices and games and stuff that have helped us out. I do have a question here. If too many participants turn on the mic at the same time, will it interrupt the flow of sound? For us, we always turn off that feature, which Sean will explain later as well. We only pre-assign those people whom we already want to know will unmute themselves as co-hosts. So that's that. Our results of poll automatically compiled. Absolutely. I wasn't counting anything. They were all out there. And yes, your host and your co-host, all of them can see the polling button. Only your regular participants cannot. Your co-host can also add questions, and they can also control the shares, etc., etc. That's all for now. If you have more questions, you can ask them, but we'll answer them later, but we'll move on to the next session. So I'm going to pass this time now to Sean.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's Sean here. So I'm going to straight up explain from the top. You will see my name. It says Sean Kwek iPad. And also, if you look at the LPM, Sean Kwek one, I am also here. Hello, I will spotlight myself just so that you can see. I'm also over here. But because I'm usually on tech support, so I normally have two devices. I'll just run us through really quickly, really simply my role normally during a service. Okay, I'll just spotlight myself really quickly. And so this is gonna be like that. I'm just gonna share my slides for a bit. All right, so a lot of what I will share now will be on screenshots because when I am on Zoom, when I am on share screen, you cannot see my Zoom functions, and Zoom will hide all that functions. So this is what you will see, just a lot of screenshots. But so right now I have my iPad, and I'll just show you on my screen right now my normal setup. So I have this was service yesterday. I have a monitor. This is super ideal. You don't need to have all of these. This is, if you really want to go, this is it. But one laptop is completely fine. Why do I have this? This is because I run slides on my monitor. I see people's faces over here. And by the way, Emily Kwek, Sean Kwek, we're not married, we're siblings. Just to clear the air over there. just to clear the air. We're not married, we're siblings. So my sister was preaching yesterday. So I was just handling the slides and making sure all this happens. So we mentioned that you will need to have a team at the start, but along the way, as you learn, as you grow in it, you will be able to handle it solo once you get a hang of all of it. But having a team at the start is super duper ideal because there's so many functions in Zoom. So what I will do is I will first share with you this bar. How do you see this bar? Where will you find this bar? This bar comes up when you are sharing screen. So when you hit share screen, this button over here, some of you might be able to see the bright green button below all the faces. When you hit share screen, this whole bar will come up, and I will run you through step by step this bar, because on schedule for worship until service, this whole bar is your best friend, and you need to be very, very, very familiar with this. I will first go with this mic functions, the unmute. So of course, most of us will know how to unmute and mute ourselves, but this, if you click on this arrow over here, it will drop down this list right here. And when you are speaking, especially when you're preaching, if you're a pastor over here, or if you're doing any form of communication, if you're going to talk, you really want to use a mic. Any mic will do, any cheap microphone will do. I have ear pods on because the sound quality is much better with a mic. But without a mic, it's also fine, but best to do with a mic. So you want to make sure if you have your mic plugged in, that these ticks are happening. You can see the ticks over there, built-in microphone, built-in speaker, and all these kind of things. So I'll run you through a little bit more over here. Audio settings. So when you click audio settings, this one, worship teams or pastors in charge of worship, take note of this. This is key if you want to do worship on Zoom. You got to go to your audio settings, And once you're in your audio settings, it will bring you up here. Okay, so what I have over here is you can see, just a lot of buttons to press. You want to make sure that this checkbox is unticked. You don't want it to automatically adjust microphone volume. And then what you do next is you hit advanced, and you go into advanced, and you want it to say this: disable, auto. This is not the normal function, but you want it to say this: disable, auto. This whole worship tutorial will be available after this in a form. If not, if you find it tough to find, or you can really simply just go online and search Zoom, how to do worship on Zoom, and it will tell you the exact same thing over here. That you need to make sure it's on disable, auto, and then you gotta make sure this checkbox is ticked as well, because it will say it does this. So where will you see this effects of the checkbox? Outside here. It will be reflected out over here. Okay, so I'll run a really short demo. I won't do a whole worship session with us, don't worry. But I'll run through a really short demo of the difference it makes when it comes to a Zoom service. So I will now do a really short setup. So what we have in, what really helps is, I will move on over here so you can see this. What helps is if you have a microphone, you don't need to get too expensive microphone. Even if you don't have a microphone, it is completely fine. It is completely okay. So I'm gonna let you hear the effects of the difference if you have the mic settings and without. So I have my guitar here. And what's gonna happen is I will just unmute myself. All right, like this. So what you're hearing now is the audio that is not changed. So when we go back to this slide, let me share this slide again really quickly. Over here, right now on my screen, it says turn on original sound. But when I hit and it says turn off original sound, you will be able to hear a lot more. Why this is important? Because when you are playing on a guitar, what Zoom tends to do, it tends to cut off all the noise you have behind on the background. But when you have this setting going on, your guitar, your piano will sound significantly better. Okay, and also getting a mic really does help. So when worship is going on, we have a tech team. So these are worship leaders. Again, if you can play and do slides at the same time, we should hire you. But here we go, then the lyrics will go up, and then the worship leader will lead. Came to the world, you created. Yeah, just like that. I won't go through our leaders through worship. But that is how it works. Optimize your worship service. That is how you optimize your Zoom sound. That is how you want to get it better. That was a really short demo. What you want to do is, let me go back to my slides. What you want to do is you really want to have a team that you trust, because when you are leading here, you don't know what it sounds like on the other side of the room. You don't know what it sounds like you don't know what it sounds like for the people on the other side. So you want to get your worship pastor, you want to get your worship leader, or just someone that knows a little bit of music. They don't need to know everything. You just want to get someone you trust, someone's ear you trust, and you get the person on the other side and say, hey, maybe you should play your guitar louder, maybe you should sing louder, maybe you should play your guitar softer. This will really help the service in general. So that is for worship. It was a really short explanation, but work along with it and you will you will learn from that lah. Okay. So I'll move on along the bar. So we can see this bar over here. It says there's this start video. You know, when you want to switch off or switch on your video, when you click on it, it will show these few things. But what I will talk about now is choosing a virtual background. Why you want to choose a virtual background? Because sometimes you don't have the best background in your house. Maybe the best spot you have in your house is in front of your toilet, and the only view people are going to see is all your towels and, you know, your toothbrushes and all these kind of things. So right now, like this camera, I have a virtual background going on, so you don't see what's behind me. So that is important why we should have a virtual background. But so once you click on virtual background over here, I'll talk about the but later. Once you click on virtual background here, it will lead you to this page. And what this page has is you can upload any kind of backgrounds you want by just clicking this plus button, and then you can put it up. You can be in Paris, London, Tokyo, wherever you want to be. But again, for some computers, it doesn't work too nicely because of the laptop lah. Like this is what my laptop does. It just does this to my face just because of certain laptops. But if you're on an iPad, if you're on I think most Windows cameras work fine. So virtual backgrounds really help just to make the background look nicer, and so it doesn't look so relaxed lah, basically. Okay, we'll move on with the bar. When you hit video settings, it has a lot of these things over here. These things, I will not go through it because it doesn't necessarily add value to a church service. It is more personal. However, there's a few things I will point out. Spotlight my video when speaking. So whenever this is on, when you speak, you are automatically displayed on other people's screens. So you might want to get that. So the rest is pretty much, you can just explore it and see what's best for you because it's more personal. It doesn't help the service. What helps is touch up my appearance if you want people to not see your pimples and stuff like that. I will now go through very, very briefly this side of the screen. Why? Because there is a lot to go through over here, and it doesn't necessarily help the service in general. But when you go through it yourself, because the checkboxes are pretty much self-explanatory already. So when you look through here, you will see chats. I'm on a chat bar right now. How do you find this? You can go up to files and settings on your Zoom site. So the thing about Zoom is there's a lot of overlaps in their settings. So if you want to fix your mic, there's a lot of places where you can fix your mic. So that's just Zoom's interface and how they have designed it lah. But what is good over here is these things also are more personalized. Doesn't really help throughout the service. What is important, I will show you later when it comes to the security part and making sure other people don't, simply say things. So that is the chat. There's more things over here. This is all more personalized to your own, for yourself lah, and doesn't really help. So recording, you can see where if you do, remember my sister talked about cloud recordings, but if you don't do a cloud recording, you can do a local recording. What does local recording mean? It basically goes into your computer and your computer only. So you can get all of these features, make sure, you want to see where it goes into. This is how cloud recording works. Okay, right now, I will jump into a little bit more of security. So there is this security button, as you can see. On your screens, you should be able, and now you shouldn't be able to see a security button, but when you're a host, this button is very, 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 very important. This is to maintain a very smooth service so that people do not disrupt your service. What you want to do over here is when you hit security, my sister talked about enable waiting room. Just because, you can have meetings before and you can control the timing the whole meeting starts. Even if you want to enable waiting room for the whole meeting, it's also up to you, because you want to have a controlled meeting. Maybe it's a small cell group meeting. That's when you can control people coming in your room as well. Now, what log meeting does is log meeting just completely locks a meeting. No one can come in anymore. So for a service, I don't think you want that, but unless your service is really, really private. This part is also super important. You can see it says here, allow participants to. This, you gotta make sure that share screen is off. The tick is not there. Because if you have this on, anyone can share anything on their computer screens. And when I say anything, I mean anything they can share. So you really want to make sure this is off, especially if you have a big church meeting. And annotate as well, you don't want this to be there, because when you share your slides on screen, you don't want people drawing, or you don't want people disrupting by just drawing on your screen when you are worshiping. So you want to make sure that this tick is off as well. There is this remove participant function. My sister talked about it a bit just now, where you can, when you click it, it just it removes you. But I will show you another way to remove participant right over here. Now you can see Pastor Fergus over here. Sorry, not a way to remove participant, a way to unmute, a way to ask them to stop their videos, a way to spotlight their videos. This is how you do it. When you hover over people's, videos, you can see a 3-dot sign over there, and that leads you to more options. So when you remove a participant, here, when you remove a participant, you can also choose to report them. What this does is Zoom will just take notice of them. We so far have not reported anyone, but we have removed people. So we kick them out of the meeting, but you can also choose to report them if necessary. But prayerfully, you will never need to report anyone now. And I'll show you this. I'll move on from from security to participants. When you click on participants, this will show up. What this is, it's basically all the participants that are in the room, and also this will show you the waiting room. Participants in the waiting room. And what can you do with the participants over here? Let me show you. When you hover over it, you can mute them, you can unmute them, or you can click more, and you can ask them to start a video. This is how you make them co-host. This is how you make them host. You can ask them to rename themselves, or you can put them in a waiting room. Just kick them out. Put them in a waiting room, or you remove, or you can report them. Everything is over here. This is for also extended security, so that people go with the service nicely lah. And another thing I want to point out is these functions below here. If you want to invite someone to your meeting, when you click invite, it will bring you to this page. Most of us will not have this whole contact list, because most people don't don't have Zoom accounts. They just go on their phones and they sign up, which is completely fine. So what you do is you want to copy invitation, and when you copy it, then you can send it out onto your WhatsApp or email it to people. This is my sister talked about registrations. This is a quicker and faster way if you want people to join your meetings. So yes, and there's the mute function as well, to mute all the people, so that one sekaligus everyone cannot talk, or you can unmute everyone. I do not suggest you do this in a service, solely because it will be havoc, and nothing will go through unless you want to have a little bit of fun. Then it's completely up to you. There is another very, very, very important aspect over here, is this more button. This more button, you want to make sure that participants are mute upon entry. So this is tick. This means when they come into the call, they're automatically muted. So if they're in like a pasar, the volume doesn't just explode into people's ears. And this one is up to you. This second tick over here is, do you want the participants to be able to mute themselves, unmute themselves? If this is ticked, means they have the ability to. If this is unticked, means they cannot unmute themselves, which is currently the setting right now. You cannot unmute yourselves. And over here, I suggest you have this off as well, because if not, every time someone enters or exits, we will hear a ding or doo-doo. Yeah, you don't want to hear that throughout your worship service or when your pastor is preaching. So you're wanting that to be switched off. And this is up to you, completely up to you. If you want them to be able to rename themselves, I suggest you do, because some people come in as, if you did not have the registration page, or if you did, some people will come in as their mother's name or their father's name, or somebody or their child's name, their daughter's name. So you want them to allow to rename themselves so they are not their daughter or they are not Samsung S7 when they're in the meeting. Okay, so again, log meeting is over here also. Like I mentioned, Zoom functions overlap a lot, and also enable waiting room. So a lot of these things are over here. What I will go on now is I will move on to the actual sharing screen function. I will explain this, but I need everyone here to understand that it really takes a lot of playing around, a lot of experience to master the Zoom screen sharing experience. So even before, when we had our first service, I took about 2 hours to just look here and there at how these screen sharing things go. But first, I will show you what this screen sharing is about. So for some of us, we do not have worship teams that are available to do Zoom worship for us, but that is okay, because what you can do is over here, you can just have worship through YouTube. And how that works is, I'll just show you really quickly over here. So over here, I already have a YouTube video up, and it looks like that. So what you want to do is, you really want to make sure that your volume is, you want to start your volume at the minimum. Why? Because the way Zoom functions is, every time you share your screen, the volume will go maximum on your computer, no matter what you do. And if you have the volume at maximum, and people are wearing earphones, their ears will explode. So I will just show you. Yep, that was really pretty loud. So I'll just show you how you can do this. So you already hear the volume, and then people can just worship like that. This is an alternate way to do worship for your services. If you do not have a worship team, or your worship leader has been worship leading every week, this is an option to take to share YouTube videos. And yeah, I will go back to my slides. So that's just a demo. So I'll run you through a little bit. This part will get a little bit technical, but like I said, I can teach you this, but you need to really explore it yourself and see how it works. So when you hit share screen, or when you hit new share, this screen will come out. What this screen is what Zoom will do is, they will take either your whole computer screen. That's why you see desktop one. That means everything on your computer screen. Or if you see over here, there is like Spotify. That means it will only show you Spotify. Or if it's on YouTube, it will only show you YouTube. So whatever you do on your screen, it doesn't matter. As long as your YouTube is still open, people will only be able to view YouTube. So that is really important. And down here, you can see this: share computer sound and optimize screen share for video clip. Share computer sound you need to switch that on if you want people to hear very clearly what's coming out of your computer screen. And optimize screen share for video clip. When you're sharing videos, you want to have this option on as well. Why? Because there is a delay in video and audio. So when you have that going on, Zoom optimizes it, and it makes the viewer view the video a little bit smoother. So you want to have that. But then there's also advanced, like just now when we were playing icebreakers, what you can do is when you click advanced, this comes up. You can either choose to share a portion of your screen or music only. And if I share music only, like right now, you will only be able to hear music. I will demo this later again. You'll only be able to hear the music and no screen, so that this is especially helpful when you are playing games, or when you are doing service directing, or when your pastor wants to only have background music going on, but for closing, but he doesn't want the video. So this is really helpful so that you can share your computer sound only as well. I'll move on to this. When you go back to basic, there is this thing. What you can actually do for those who have iPads and for those who are one-man showing, but you really want to share a little bit more seamless, is you can actually show what is happening on your iPad screen. And the great thing about this is you do not need to have a MacBook. You can have a Windows computer, and when you click this, your iPad or your iPhone can share to screen as well. When you click on it, it will show this screen, and you just follow the instructions. It is really, really simple. I'll do it really quickly right now, just to show you all what it looks like. So I'll go to my iPad, and I'll stream, and you will be able to see that it is like that. So you can see the run a Zoom. This is my iPad screen right now, and you can see the function over there. So it is really useful. It is really useful for those who want to run, who are one-man showing, and you want to run Zoom yourself. Yes, so that is the screen share functions. I know it was a bit brief. I could go into detail, but it is really more up to you to really get used to the screen sharing functions. But it is over there. And again, we suggest you having a team so that you don't need to focus on, I need to screen share, I need to do this, because it really doesn't take so much experience. You just need to learn it up. It's not super hard. And then, so if you're a pastor, you can focus on preaching, and somebody else, your team, will help you out. Over here again, there's annotate. What you can do is you can draw on the screen if you wish, like so. You can draw and say hi to everyone, but you will be drawing with your mouse, so it's a bit tough to draw. Or you can circle if you're showing slides, and you can circle, you can do all these kind of things. So annotation is really helpful if you want to use it. There is this thing called remote control. This is again a little bit more advanced, and we don't personally use it, so I will not go through that, but you can definitely explore it yourself. This section here, more. This is again the enable. You want this to say enable attendee annotation. Again, because you don't want people drawing on your screen. So again, there's a lot of overlaps going on for Zoom. And then most of these things you can see, I've already gone through this, but you can find them here. Okay. I will run through this. When you are on your normal screen as a host, this is what you will see. You will see your record functions over here and your reactions over here. And everything else is already explained just now. Now, this function is more personal for people who want to have for yourself. Like right now, I have my screen shared, right? But if you go on top of your screen, you'll be able to see this view options. View options. And if you want, you can have this thing called side-by-side mode. This enables you to be able to see gallery view and the slides at the same time. Because some of us on our computers, we can only see the slides right now. You can even try this right now if you have not had this on your screen already. You go to View Options, Side-by-Side View, and then you can see the screen left to right. So that is pretty much for now the functions for the Zoom thing. It is quite a lot, it's quite a bit, but nothing beats practice. Practice makes perfect, even for Zoom. And what I will move on from here now is practices you should have when you are doing a Zoom service to optimize the experience for your congregation. Your camera angles. What is very important is to have a camera angle that is straight up and the lighting is on your face. It doesn't matter what it looks like behind, or this is another example. Straight up, the lighting is on your face. People can see your face, your smile, everything like that. And you don't want to have this next slide. You don't want to have a very bright background and a very dark face. This just kills the energy for a service, so you don't want to have this. And if you're at home, you don't want to have your baju all hanging behind because it doesn't look very nice. So again, you can eliminate all of this with a virtual background and no one will be able to see what's happening behind already. Another thing is you do not want to be looking down at your computer screen because people will see your chin. It is not a very nice angle to look at. It is best when people look straight up ahead at your face, so that people will see your face nicely. And one last thing, I actually missed out on this, I'm sorry. Again, on the Zoom functions, this is super duper important. On your share screen, you will be able to see an arrow over there. And that arrow, when you click on it, does this. One participant can share at a time. And when you click on the advanced sharing options, this will turn up. And again, like I said, you want only hosts to be able to share. And who is this in the host? It includes all your co-hosts as well so that they can share. And you don't want any participants to share on your screen. So that is basically all I have for the Zoom bar at the bottom. If you look at it, if you go to your preferences, there's also a lot more preferences to look at, but most of that we do not explore because it's more personal and it doesn't add value to the service itself for the congregation. But you can teach your congregation to go on it. So that is all from me for that portion. I think I'll pass it back to M for now, and then we will let the questions run, and then we'll respond to it.
Okay, thank you. I know it's very technical and we had to move really fast because of the sake of time, but like what Pastor Fergus mentioned in the chat, there will be like the worship guides and everything available on the website in the coming weeks that you can refer to. So don't worry if you didn't manage to catch something. But because of time, I'm not going to give you guys a break. So hang in there. I'm just going to cover another two things, which is the breakout rooms and the reports as well, just so you can know how to utilize these functions for yourselves. All right. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Another thing that I wanted to point out that you as a host can see as well is when people are responding through this thing, yes, no, go faster, go slower. I think some of you have tried pressing that as well. It doesn't show up anywhere else except when you pop out the participants list. So how this helps is if you're having a training like this, and if you say go faster, go slower, your trainer can just look at the whole list and just respond accordingly. Okay, So breakout rooms, like I mentioned just now, for us at the end of our service, we usually make the breakout rooms available. One, for small group engagement, because we usually have around 200 people in the service. So it's better when the leaders can engage with their members. It's more personal. So it's a point of connection, and also for prayer. So for those of you, running a service and you want to have a time of altar call, this is really, really helpful. A feature that you can explore in how to make your altar call a little bit more effective by actually breaking out and praying for them. Okay, so where can you find that? Over here, you click on breakout rooms. You will be able to see this if you are the host. All right, so this is the thing, only hosts can do this. This is the one function that co-hosts cannot do. So you will see this thing, the breakout rooms. You can create breakout rooms automatically, which will be random, or you can create breakout rooms manually as well. So when you click breakout rooms and you open it, this will come out. So you can assign people to the different breakout rooms. You can rename your rooms. You can move people in case you have allocated them wrongly, and you can exchange them, and so on and so forth. So just a few things to note: you can move all participants into breakout rooms automatically, which means they do not have to click accept. Because now what happens if you don't select this, there will be a prompt that says, do you want to move into a breakout room? So you can always click this as and when you like. Allow participants to return to the main session at any time, meaning, they don't want to be in a breakout room, they can switch from going into the main session or back to the breakout rooms. Let's say if you're already ending your service and you want them to just leave the breakout rooms immediately, you can just not take this. You can limit the time to how long the breakout rooms are open, and you can also set a countdown for the breakout rooms as and when you want to close it. All right, so here you have add a room, open all rooms. There's only a function to open all rooms and close all rooms at a time, so you can't close rooms individually, something that you want to note. So that's that. Now I know pre-assigning rooms can be very helpful for classes. It definitely is helpful for us because we have different connect groups. So this is a part where I'm going to merge sharing the report function with everyone. Here we go. So like we saw just now, you can click on this thing called reports. And if you have had meeting registration as part of your service, you can click into meetings and you can generate the registration report. Like I mentioned just now, for this Sunday service, we click generate, but I'll just show you what it looks like on one of our past meetings or registrants. When you click continue, it will begin to download and it will bring you to the report queue. You click download over here, it will download into your computer like that. Okay, I'm just going to show you a sample of what it looks like on what the file looks like. It looks something like this. Okay, so when you come out, it comes out naturally as a .csv file. That's just a file type. You don't have to worry about it technically. So how do we create pre-assigned breakout rooms? So you might want, like for us, to create breakout rooms based on their connect groups. So I would select their connect groups as the different room names, and I will select their emails. You have to use their emails as the breakout room to do the pre-assigning of breakout rooms. So it looks something like this. I'll show you where to get this template. Zoom actually provides this template for you. So you can already pre-name your breakout rooms like this, and you can put all the email addresses of the people whom you want to assign to these breakout rooms. So I will show you this part. Okay, so this is where you get it. And when you go back to your meetings, in my Sunday service, like what I mentioned just now, you can edit this meeting, only this meeting. And down here, when you click breakout room pre-assign, you can click on create rooms, you can pre-create your rooms, so on and so forth. But if you put import from CSV, you can click over here to download a template, which you can then drag and drop into this place. And once your participants come into your meeting, they will already be assigned to those rooms. So that is how you pre-assign using a .csv file. Okay, so that's that, but I will show you the other reports and how it's very helpful. Let's say if you're running a class. Only if you get people to pre-register will you be able to count on things. You can get to generate reports for the meeting usage. For example, over here, you can see we had our service yesterday and we had 353 participants that came in and out. When I click on this, I can generate. It also tells me how long each participants were inside the meeting. You can show unique users because sometimes people get disconnected. So you can see each unique visitor's duration of coming into your service. This is helpful for people who are running classes. So you just want to kind of keep track on who has attended your classes and who hasn't. So these reports are really useful, and you can find that in your reports tab under usage reports. The other thing that I showed you just now was meeting reports, where you can get information of people who have registered, which is in your report queue. The other thing is from the polls that you guys have participated in just now, you can generate a poll report as well, but you can turn off this setting by making your polls anonymous. Let's say if you're getting feedback and you want people to remain anonymous. So yeah, but just remember that if you want a registration report, a poll report, and a usage report, your meeting has to be a registered event or a registered meeting. So that's really it from us for all the functions. If you have any questions, we are taking questions right now. So, okay. Sorry, you didn't see the file. Yeah, let me just show you what the .csv file looks like just now. Your .csv file, when you download it, looks something like this for your registration report. I'm not going to open it up because there are a lot of information there. So I'm just showing you this is how it's reflected. So from your registration, you can customize your questions like me. I included for my connect groups to be a question as well. So you can include as many questions as you want. Okay. And if you want to pre-assign, just go to the pre-assigning tab that I showed you just now, and you can download a template. Yeah, so I'm just looking at the questions now if I haven't.
When you click share screen, new share, it will be over here again, advanced, and this will happen. I will now show you what it looks like or what it sounds like. Now you can see on top of your screens, it says you are listening to Sean Quack or something like that. It says that on the top. And I will now move on to my Spotify, which I have on the side. And then I'll play the music and you'll be able to hear it. Okay, how that works, I'll share my screen. I'll share the process with you. So you can see my whole screen. This is my desktop. I go to Spotify, and you can see my Spotify volume over here is also really soft. What I do is I never play, like now it's paused, I never play a song when it is like that. Everyone's ears will explode. I always play the song first, then I drag. So that is key for your team to know when you do that. Or this is the same thing on YouTube as well. When you are doing that, that is for sharing audio and also video content. Yeah. Okay, I'll read the question now. It says, is it possible for us to have a full band or more than one instrument for Zoom if we find that Zoom has trouble picking up multiple types of audio? It is possible to have multiple instruments, but you don't want to have too many instruments. One instrument I would discourage you to have is percussion. That means a drum or a cajon. Why? Because when you have any sort of rhythm, the audios will be very, it won't go through nicely. So maximum, you want to have a piano and a guitar. And especially if you have so many instruments or two singers, you really want to get a mic. If not, it will do you more harm than good to have more instruments. Yeah, so couldn't hear the sound sharing just now. Wait, you all could hear that, right? No. Some people are shaking their heads, some people are nodding their heads. What helps is having your audio up also, because I didn't want to blast your ears. But again, just one more time, just the sound demo of what it will sound like, just like that. It can go really loud. So that's what it sounds like. I'll bring it down. So that's what Zoom audio does. It really helps for icebreakers and things like that. So what's to help you out, it's good to have two devices, because if I'm sharing on my computer and I play the music on my computer, I don't know what the other participants are listening to. This is a little bit more advanced. I don't expect everyone to do this, but that's why I have an iPad going on. So my iPad over here is to help, my earphones are right now plugged into my iPad, not into my computer, which I played the music from. Why this is important, it's so that when I play the music, I know from the perspective of a congregation member when I'm listening to the music and everything that is going on. If it's too loud, if something is going wrong, I can hear that. And one other very important note to have is when you're sharing any form of audio is to mute all your notifications so that you don't have your WhatsApp notifications coming through, you don't have your emails coming through your computer screen. Okay, I have one question from here, from Zerkan. It is a good question. Some videos you play are laggier. Yes, that happens, especially when you are playing from the web, like online, from YouTube, because of internet and things like that. So I do encourage you, if you can, to download the videos off. Why? So that you prevent lag. There will definitely be some form of lag. It won't be 100% smooth, but what helps is when you're playing the YouTube video, you don't play at 1080p, you bring down the quality of the video down to maybe 480, so that you compromise on the quality of the video for a smoother video. How do you spotlight video? I will show you, another question came out, how do you spotlight video? I will show you over here again with let me bring this up. Right here, as you can see, Pastor Fergus's face. You click on the 3 dot next to him and the spotlight video will be right here. Spotlight video, and then his face will be spotlighted no matter who decides to speak. So that's where you find spotlight video. Yeah, the thing about Zoom is they have everything everywhere and you need to look for it yourself. It's a little bit confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it's fine. There's a question here. How do you do the Q&A without showing the questions to everyone in the Zoom chat? Okay, that's a great question. Over here, I will need to very quickly do this if I can. I'll
answer some questions while he teaches you how to do Q&A privately. One is, sorry, there's a lot of questions coming in, so I'm trying to read them as quickly as possible. But okay, if I have a license, can I share a basic? I answered that already just now, but again, because I do not transfer my license here and there, so I'm unable to answer that question right now. But to minimize the confusion for that, we actually share the account between our team itself. So if you want to help with scheduling and everything, that's how we do it. Okay, what is the difference between, okay, sorry. How many accounts should a church get? One for every ministry or share it? For us, we have multiple ministries sharing one account, but it really depends on what your schedule is like, because one host can only run one meeting at a time. You can schedule multiple meetings, but you can only host one meeting at a time. All right. So you cannot run multiple meetings at the same time on your account. One way that we have gone around this is, if your team is small enough, you can always break them out into breakout rooms. However, there are certain limitations for breakout rooms, such as depending on who can do your screen share and everything. So the functions are limited compared to your main room meeting. However, if you just want to have like a meeting and stuff like that, by all means, you can utilize the breakout functions to, in that sense, carry out multiple different meetings. All right. Okay, security features on Zoom. Well, we have not faced any major issues personally, but another question was, do we have to inform people before recording? It's actually, all of you can see that we are recording, but if you would like to extend the courtesy of asking people, whether they know they are being recorded, you can also switch that on in your settings, which I showed you on the main browser just now. It is under in meeting advanced settings. All right. All questions about the sound, I hope they have already been answered by Sean. If not, we will also post up guides on that much later.
Okay, I've got some here. I'll go back to the question of how are we doing this Q&A right now privately. So when you look at when you are on the chat, so on the corner of your screen when you're having a chat, or wherever your chat function is, there is this 3 dot over here. Zoom really loves 3 dots. So you just click on the 3 dot, and then there are these options. Participant can chat with no one. If you have this, the chat is dead. No one can, only the host can talk, or participant can chat with host only, which is what we have now. That's why all the questions are coming to us, to various people, or everyone publicly. This is what we have for our services. So that people can respond and say amen and things like that, or publicly and privately. This is if you want people to be talking to each other during the service, which you don't really want to, because you want them focused on what's happening, and you don't want them to miss the moment. And another question is, how do I set up my mic? When you plug in your mic, so what I have, my mic over here is a USB mic. It's not a normal church mic. So if you plan to buy a mic for Zoom, buy a mic that is USB. Don't buy a mic that is 1/4 inch or XLR. It will cause you more problems than solution. So when you plug in the USB, Zoom will already detect this when you go into your audio settings. Remember where you have the mute button there? You go to your audio settings, there's already an option over here to use the mic, and also for speakers, but that is if your mic has that function. So that is for a little bit more of sound. I have another pretty good question over here is, what happens if, like I suggested, using 2 devices and then the other device goes mad? I'm sure a lot of us have experienced this before, where you get feedback. It just goes and it goes really loud, and then you are wondering like, what's happening? How you have that, how you eliminate that, is you make sure, right now my setting is, my computer, I have my earphones plugged into my computer, and I have my earphones plugged into my iPad, but my computer is muted. So you must make sure for both your devices, you must have them in earphones, because you don't want any volume leaking out. When you have the sound leaking out, that is when the feedback will occur. So that is for, I hope that helps. Just make sure that as long as no sound comes out and you have earphones going on, you should be fine. Another one I have here, what is the difference between pinning a video and spotlighting a video? Pinning a video is for yourself only. When you pin a video, only your computer screen will have the effect. Everyone else won't see it. When you spotlight it, like right now, so for a demo, right now we will spotlight Pastor Fergus's face. And when that happens, it just happens straight on your screen like that. And you didn't do anything. So Pastor Fergus's face is up there right now, and everyone can see the spotlight. But if you pin the video, it will not happen that way. It will not affect everybody. It will only affect your own screen. You can try it right now. Pin somebody else's video. It doesn't affect us. It only affects your own screen. That's how that happens. I'll read through the questions and if you have more. Do you have more questions to answer?
Yes, I'll take some questions. Some have been sent to me as well. Again, the side-by-side view thing, Sean has already walked you through that. You just have to go all the way up and set it in your settings. Sean, you can walk through that with the side-by-side view again. How do you do the polls? I believe I've already answered that, but actually on this bar, let me show you the bar. It is very, very self-explanatory. When you go into the app over here, you click polling. It's very, very step by step. The only thing that you need to pay attention to is the fact that it will link you back to the browser when you click add question, and when you edit your question, it will still bring you back to the browser. You can't only do it in app. Okay, and I have a question about live streaming and how to live stream it. Again, when you go in, this is only a pro feature. You click on the more button, and when you click on live on YouTube or live on Facebook, it brings you back to the browser to sign in to whatever account you want to live stream to. Okay, I also have another question about how to generate the poll reports. It's the same as generating the registration reports, like I mentioned here. Your poll report is here. Okay, you click, let's say, one of our online services, generate, continue. It brings you to the report queue, and then you click generate, and it downloads directly into your, you click download, it downloads directly into your computer, but you will not be able to see it now because of the way Zoom doesn't share certain things. All right, and sorry, I stand corrected. For breakout rooms, you can still share screen. Yeah, so you just have to make the person a co-host and they can share screen. How many groups can share screen during the breakout rooms? Still, because you are in your individual rooms, you can all share screen if you need to. And for us, we do not normally lock our rooms because that was a 2-in-1 question. Okay, and another thing is you run cell groups at the same time in your church and you need multiple hosts. How we have gone about it is, for us, all our Youth Connect groups happen at the same time, but not all of them have pro accounts. So what I have done is we have created breakout rooms, let's say for Connect Group A, Connect Group B, Connect Group C. So when they come in, I have already pre-assigned them. I just have to open all the breakout rooms. They are immediately brought to their breakout rooms. However, as someone brought up, if someone did not register or they didn't give the information, how do they then go in? So I'm actually there for the entire duration of the Connect groups, and I'm manually assigning them as they enter in. So this is something you can go about having multiple pro accounts. Yes. Is it possible for remove participant to rejoin? No, if you disable that function. So over there where Sean has showed, you can disable and enable whether a participant is allowed to rejoin. So yes, we are not using the webinar function. We are now using the meeting function, but we have upgraded to accommodate up to 1,000 people. So we have added, it's an add-on, which you can find out all about it on Zoom's pricing list. All right, is it possible to stream both to YouTube or NFB simultaneously? From my understanding, you can do it simultaneously. However, I have not tried it, but from what I have read, it is possible. So sorry, we might have to do a little bit more research on that. For polling, next question, for polling, do I need to activate it? I don't see it. How many can there be in one breakout room? There's no limit to how many people you can have in your breakout rooms, but Zoom has a limit of 50 breakout rooms at a time. Okay, there is no maximum co-host allowed. So if you have 100 people in your meeting and you want 100 people, 99 people to be co-hosts, that's allowed as well. Okay, I'm answering as many questions as I can. For a locked meeting, can participants leave? Yes, they can leave, but they cannot come back in. Okay, so that's all the questions I have on my end.
Okay. I'll just go through mine really quickly. Side-by-side view. Side-by-side view is like that. You'll be looking at this. This is a shared screen right here. And again, at the top, view options, click on it. And then side-by-side view will be right there. And then you should be able to drag the bar. If you can't find it there, it should be able, it's also in your preferences bar, as I mentioned earlier. But I will not go too much into that because that is more personal and it doesn't benefit the service so much. There are also a few questions. Is it possible for 2 or more people to speak at the same time? Yes, however, you will need to really plan out your speeches. You cannot have 2 people blabbing at the same time because what Zoom will do is it will tend to cut out and it will break people's voices if you speak 2 people at the same time from 2 different callers. So you want to avoid speaking at the same time, but take turns to speak. Okay, why is there fluidity in a virtual background? Why some computers are better? I honestly do not really know. But what you can do if you really want your virtual background to work is you can buy a manila card, a green screen, make your own green screen, buy a manila card and paste it at your back or on your wall, whatever, on your cupboard, and then that should be good. Just don't wear a green shirt when you have the green screen behind, and that would function pretty well. Over here I have, if you want to record in HD. The HD function isn't too big of a difference because of the way our computer cameras, just the quality of it. If you want to record in HD, if you want to record really good quality FaceTime, if you want to record really good quality, what I actually suggest is to have a separate camera at the side, just recording your face. If you really want it to be top notch, that's my suggestion. How do you run music at the waiting room? Sadly, you cannot do that. Music does not leak out to the waiting room. The best thing you can do is give people a picture to see. Next question. I'm also going very fast because I want to run through the help. I feel this will help. When the preacher's audio is bad and cutting in and out, does turning off everyone's video help? No, it does not. What helps is if everyone is muted. Everyone must be muted to optimize the preacher's audio. Or your preacher just needs to get a set of earphones or a mic. I do recommend that easiest step to take is just a set of earphones because it doesn't take much. You plug it in and it will work straight away. When I have 2 devices on, do I have headphones on for both devices or just one? I have it on for both. Why? Because having volume again leak out equals feedback. But if you are muted throughout the service and you will never say a word, then you do not require earphones because then the feedback will not happen if you are muted throughout the service. But if you are speaking, then you don't want any volume to come out that is not going through your ears. How do you have your worship sessions with multiple instruments, using multiple mics for each instrument or just one? Or all the mics used? Just one. When you have worship, what you cannot do is you cannot have, I play the guitar and then Pastor Fergus plays the piano on different calls. That will definitely not work. Don't do that. It will definitely not work. What you want is, the thing about Zoom is you have to keep it as simple as you can, especially if you do not have a mic, because even though if you have several mics that work fine, through Zoom, it will not come out as you hope it will come out, just because of the way it takes in frequencies. Is there any lag if you use slides for worship? If you use stagnant slides, there is about a 1 second delay every time you press next. But we do not use moving backgrounds because yes, there will definitely be lag. When I share PowerPoint, my view goes off the PowerPoint, takes over the screen, and I can't see myself or participants. Yes, you only have a small screen, but there is also a bar over there which you can explore. But the sad thing about when you're sharing screen, you cannot do a lot of things. You can, but it's just not very user friendly, if I must say. Even though you know where to find, it's just not very user friendly. So if you're preaching and you're sharing screen, you have to sacrifice a little bit of those, but you can actually still view your participants by because there'll still be a bar over there, and you can click on gallery view over there. I have two more questions. I have one more question on my side. Does wireless or wired earphones work better? If only good quality wireless earphones or mics are recommended, because if you get a cheap one, most of the time there will be a delay that goes into your ears, and you don't want that to happen. So again, wired mics, wired earphones will be best. Last question from my side. Do we have a separate person managing the slides during worship? Yes, we do. So that if you're playing guitar, if you're not playing the guitar, it's fine, but most of the time you'll be playing guitar, and somebody else will handle the slides, so you don't need to be switching the slides. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, because it's getting really late, I'll just take the final few questions on breakout rooms especially. The best part about breakout rooms is it's available on the free accounts as well. The same meeting limitations apply, the 40 minutes limit, but you can open as many breakout rooms in a free account. But for your pro account, the same 24-hour limit applies. All right, so that was one of the question. And yes, also another question about polling, again, because I can't show you anything more beyond the slides that I have already showed you, but I can assure you it is very self-explanatory, and we will send some resources that will help you that have been created by Zoom as well. So, and the other question about breakout room is, can you enter and exit the breakout rooms as the host and the co-host? Yes, you can. You can move from room 1, 2 to 3 as and when you like, but your other participants will not be able to do that. And you can also broadcast a message as and when you like. I will show you how to broadcast a message over here. Oops, sorry. Here, okay? So when you see this part, once you open your rooms, on this options section, you are also able to broadcast message. There will just be a button that says broadcast a message, and you can broadcast a message to everyone. And another feature of these breakout rooms is within the breakout rooms, there's a function for people to ask for help, and you will be able to see it on this screen. It will say someone is asking for help. So that's that for breakout rooms, for polls, for sharing screen, etc. etc. Can a host share screen in breakout room? No, you can share your screen in a breakout room, even in a free account. Yes, can a co-host move around? I have already answered that. That's all the questions we can take for today. Yes, I will now be dropping a file into the chat area, and you can download it. It's just very simple resources that we want to make available to you today itself. And yeah, and also because we wanted you to see that you can actually share files through your chat function as well. So I'm sending over a PDF. What is included is in this PDF is some icebreaker suggestions that have worked for us. Of course, that it's not very comprehensive. We're just giving you ideas to spark it. But like as Sean mentioned just now, you know, the key sometimes is to keep it as simple as possible, because you're online, you have so many different things going on. I would say focus on the transitions that is smooth, so that the experience for everyone at home is more seamless rather than like super exciting. All right, so feel free to download the resources, and thank you so much for all 400 over of you who are still in this meeting, and we'll pass the time back to Pastor Fergus.
Thanks again so much, Emily. Thanks so much to Sean and Unseen to all of y'all, but thanks so much to Lian and Krishan as well for running the whole webinar as we've been going on. Now, just want to say one or two more things before we close. I know that for many of you guys, you are here experiencing this and learning all this as a team. So I think it's very good if you have come to learn as a team to go off from here and debrief. Right? Share with one another what you learned, what you would like, what you have really learned, and what you feel can improve what you are already doing right now. If you are planning to start a Zoom service from scratch, meaning you are not currently doing one, you plan to start one totally from zero, then I want to encourage you to give it a go, but to not try to attack all 20 functions at one go. Week one, you're already trying to do breakout rooms and trying to do polls and trying to do everything, but start simple. If you already have a prayer meeting going on, try it out in your prayer meeting first. If you already got cell groups going on, try out some functions in a smaller, more manageable, more controllable environment first. But the main thing is get into your groups if you're here and debrief what you have learned, see what you would like to implement, and then try it out. Start small, build layer on layer as you go along. Now, in the next 2 weeks, I was sharing with you much earlier that we will be running 2 more webinars. Next Sunday and the following Sunday, we will be running webinars on running a Zoom small group. Right, so running small groups over Zoom. What we will be coaching you on for this one is taking what you have learned today and learning the facilitation skills, the engagement skills, and the little things you can do to draw out engagement and responses from everyone. You can know all the functions, and in a service environment, you can kind of get away with going unilateral. But if you are running a prayer meeting, you want it to be more participative. If you're running a cell group, you definitely want everyone to have a chance to contribute. So, this webinar on running Zoom small groups will definitely help you to draw out responses and engagement from a smaller group. That is next week, same time, 2:30, and registration will be sent out very soon, immediately after this as well. Now, the week after that, on Sunday, again at 2:30, we will be running a webinar on video editing your church service. So if you are not going down the Zoom route, you are recording a video of the worship, you are recording a video of your announcements, you are recording a video of the sermon, and you want to put all these together. What are all the tricks and tips and how you can shoot so that when you're editing, it's a lot easier and everything. We assume you will have no experience at all. So if you're already experienced video editor, this wouldn't be so much for you. But if you are just about learning how to edit videos together, this one is really going to be for you. So I encourage you guys to sign up for it as soon as the registration reaches you as well. We will promote it directly to you. Since now that you're here, we have your email addresses. All right, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much once again to the team. Thank you so much to every single one of you for having stayed here so long. We've just dropped under 400 people. Let me pray and send you guys off. All right. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for every church represented here. I pray that this coming weekend, right? Today is Sunday. Lord, we pray that in the coming weekend, all the churches represented here will be strengthened in one way or another. Lord, either we are starting to formulate plans, either we're starting to strategize, or either we are maybe starting to implement 1 or 2 new things into our church services or in our smaller group meetings. Father, we pray that every church will be strong. So Lord Jesus, may your blessing go with every single one of us. May you bless us. May you care for us. May you care for our flock. And Lord Jesus, may you take over. May the kingdom of the Son whom you love be extended every day in our land, far beyond. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. God bless you. Have a wonderful Sunday. I really hope to see as many of you guys joining us again next Sunday. Until then, see you guys. Bye-bye.